Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the EUIC experience and then also some issues that players highlighted based on the tournament structure, something we've talked about many times after major tournaments so far this season. We are going to take a look at just a couple of new cards, some Arvin's cards, a couple Ogre Pawns, and briefly talk about a few new cards recently revealed out of Japan. We will, of course, have Guess That Flavor Text, everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. And then we're going to break down the results of the European International Championships, talk about the decks that did well, talk about the decks that underperformed. And then we're going to get over to our bonus episode exclusive each week to our YouTube channel members and also our Spotify subscribers. So if you want to see some extra content from us, be sure to check out either of those two services, become a YouTube channel member or Spotify subscriber today. My name is Chip Ritchie. I'm joined here as always by my friend and co-host coming back from his journey across the pond to EUIC, Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, Chip. Yeah, back from Europe. Hopefully not sick, but I feel like I'm not out of the woods quite yet. It sometimes takes 2 or 3 days before it actually
It's got to
sets
marinate.
in. Yeah, so hopefully not sick. I don't feel sick, but yeah, you never know until you've been back for a couple days. Um, Unfortunately, got back to. I didn't end up streaming today because PTCG Live. It's not down, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's not down. But apparently you can't use Magneton, you can't use Archaladon,
Is
you can't
still broken.
use Gardevoir, I think, either. So, like, 3 pretty big decks, or 3 of the top 4 decks from EUIC actually, besides Dragapult, 'cause I think Miraidon was number 4, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so yeah. I don't think you can use it has to do with energy acceleration, obviously, I think. So I think all those decks are bugged, so I decided not to stream today. I was gonna stream today, but I was like, I mean, I don't know, what's the point? What is I guess just play Dragapult Mirrors. I'm sure people are playing the Cloth after it just won on the ladder. So, but yeah, I had a good time in Europe, as always, or in London, I should say. Um, uh, the event was ran pretty smoothly overall, and I will talk about that a little bit more, I guess, when we talk about. I guess it's going to be like our first topic, anyways. But yeah, overall, the event seemed to run smoothly. They implemented the new for anyone who didn't see, they implemented the drop thing into the tournament. You can now drop on your phone basically. But thankfully I didn't have to use that. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought
overall I had fun in London as always.
following the
Go
tournament
ahead.
from home, I thought we were going to be having back-to-back weeks effectively of Azul wins another tournament and showing it on the podcast. He started 7-0, dude, but then looking at the rest of the day, ooh, things just did not go your way from round 8 and on.
Yeah, it didn't go great from there. After taking the L to the lost box. What does that say it is? Hydreigon,
Yeah,
Emphi,
Hydreigon,
Sableye, Cram.
yeah,
I guess
that's
that is. It was lost box.
did he have
Yeah,
a
I lost the
Hydreigon
lost
in
box,
it?
then I lost to no. He had a Joltik. Joltik's kinda cool. No Hydreigon, though.
Interesting.
Um, it's just maybe how one of the choices on Pokédata. Or I guess that's how it populates once Pokédata gets the information from RK9, I guess. That's what Lost Box looks like on Pokédata. That means Lost Box. Yeah, I lost the Lost Box, lost a mirror, and then I wasn't feeling unconfident. I was still feeling pretty confident. Because playing up against the matchups that the deck was built for, Gardevoir and Dragapult, I was feeling very confident against those 2 decks still, and those were the 2 big decks of the tournament, the 2 most popular decks. But then round 1 of day 2, I hit Archaladon, was able to take a game, but it's a tough matchup, and I knew that going to the tournament, didn't play the Zapdos or anything like that, and, yeah, and then from there, at that point, couldn't make top cut anymore. Lost to Makani the round afterwards. Definitely threw against Makani. Uh, a couple times. Should have had that one against Makani, I think for sure. And then in the last round, Amelia was playing another Archaladon after I beat Matthew with a Golden Go. I actually hit 3. Yeah, I hit 3 Golden Goes, went 2 and 1. I thought I hit 4 actually. I guess it was just 3. Could have been 3-0 against the Golden Ghost, but Makani got me, and then lost to Amelia playing Archaladon in the end. So another Archaladon got me. So yeah, not disappointed with the deck choice. Ran it back with Miraidon for anyone who didn't know. different list, a prime catcher list, similar to the one that I played on stream the night before the tournament. Definitely not underprepared. Honestly, the list was like pretty good. It worked exactly how I wanted it to. There wasn't really anything missing. If I knew our Chalan was going to be 11% of the meta, I might have put the Zapdos in. That would have been like the only real adjustment possibly. But besides that, I was pretty happy with the list overall. And it wasn't like as strong of a play as it was at Merida. Miraidon wasn't in general, but I expected that. I expected it to be a weaker play overall, and I really just wanted to focus in on the guard four and the Dragapult matchup with the build, and it definitely did that. But didn't work out. Didn't work out as well as I wanted to overall, I guess. But not
Yeah,
disappointed in the deck choice.
yeah. I mean, still a good showing for sure. Day one, starting off so strong, but yeah. Better luck in the next one, I guess. I mean, you got what, Vancouver coming up, right? You're going to be trying pretty hard for that one, I think.
2 weeks. I'm gonna try, but I mean, like PTCG Live is kind of a wreck right now, and then I get not like whenever someone says surgery, I feel like people expect more to be involved. But I'm getting like dentist surgery, whatever. They're putting an implant in for a tooth. So nothing too drastic, but hopefully I'll be able to like immediately stream on Tuesday. It happened. I'm getting the surgery on Monday. Hopefully I'll be able to immediately stream on Tuesday and start grinding with a deck for Vancouver. But I don't know. Maybe I'll be out for a couple days. We'll have to see how the recovery goes for that. But that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm hoping to get a decent couple days in of playing a deck for Vancouver. I don't really know what I want to play yet, to be honest. I'm leaning a little bit towards Dragapult. Um, I mean, like I said, going to EUIC, it's going to be the best play. I think it definitely proved that for sure that it is the best overall deck. But that wasn't really a surprise to me at all. So I'm leaning towards Dragapult, but that's because I haven't really played with a bunch of other decks recently. So you could always fall back on the BDIF for sure.
Yeah, never a bad thing to necessarily do. Um, okay, yeah, well, let's go ahead and just
How
hop
was
into
your
our. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, how was your time watching the event? Because
Oh
you
sure.
weren't there this time in in London.
It was good. It was good. I mean, I tuned into a decent bit of the stream throughout. At least had it on in the background during day one. Watched some of the like later games, day two, all the Top Cut games for the most part. I was watching. Was really rooting for my buddy Xander Perot in Top Cut. Would have loved to have seen him take a deep run, but that cloth matchup is pretty tough for Golden Go. Uh, Badu is just
Yeah.
really good against Golden Go in general, and then when they're Baduing for even more damage potentially, like yeah, it was a rough showing there for Xander, but I was rooting for him
Yeah.
for sure.
When they're knocking out
Your little
Yumis.
guys, yeah, getting rid of them and item locking you is pretty
Yeah, when they give me
annoying.
exactly. And shutting down the Fez draw, like, no access to Fez draw either.
That was
It's
really
so
the
easy for the
biggest
deck to get
thing.
tempo in that matchup. Insane.
Yeah, that was something I
Yeah.
realized watching Ryuki's games, how like it's not easy, but it's like it is easy at the same time. You know what I mean? To play around Pheasantipity, which is such a massive card in the format. I mean, I think that's like has to be
Yeah.
one of the biggest strengths of the cloth deck is being able to take multi-prize turns while like taking two prize turns without activating Pheasantipity for your opponent. Like that's got to be one of the deck's biggest strengths.
Yeah,
And
you
then
can
also, of
basically
course, Petrarunt.
yeah, you can basically KO literally everything in the format with Terapagos or Badu and not trigger Pheasantipity. There's almost, like, nothing you can't KO,
Yeah.
with those things. So, yeah, it is definitely a big part of the deck is, like, taking away your opponent's draw power, and you can also do it against, not only can you do it against every deck that plays Pheasantipity, which is basically every deck, you can also do it against Lugia, whose draw power is the gift energy as well. You can do it against basically every relevant deck in the format for the most part.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was yeah, good to watch the tournament. I was really excited about the seniors finals because it was actually kind of a funny one because that's like our two senior division goats battling off against each other. I'm a big fan of Nathan Osterkatz. You're a big fan of Gabrielle. I mean, I'm a fan of Gabrielle as well, of course, but I mean, those are two like of the absolute like they're probably just some of the best Pokemon players, let alone senior division players. Two very very skilled players and playing in the yeah, it's just cool to see that like even in a younger division, such high level games for sure.
Yeah, I don't keep up with the senior division as much as I have in the past when I used to do coaching, because then like I'd be talking with like the seniors players more often. But it does feel like I feel like Gabriel and Nathan, and then I would say Justin have
Yeah,
separated themselves as like the top 3 by far seniors players. I don't even think I like another name doesn't even come to mind for placements this season at all. Like I think they've definitely separated themselves because Justin was also in the top 8 as well there. Didn't make it to the
yeah.
finals alongside Nathan or Gabriel, but Gabriel and Justin were in the finals of the last one of LAIC, which I guess Gabriel's won both of them. It's hard to argue against Gabriel's
Sure.
constant winning. And that was one thing I was gonna bring that up later. I think the other thing cool that happened at UIC was Wolfe winning though, as well on the VGC side. Um, it was just cool to see. I mean, just cool to see his legacy continue and him still kind of be at the top. And he was playing the Parish song thing again, right? The or whatever it's called.
Parish Trap, yeah.
Parish Trap. Why am I saying Parish song? Is that like an
That's
attack
the
game?
that's the name of the attack, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. He was playing the Parish Trap thing again.
Yeah, Parish Song is the name of the attack, and then
Yeah.
Shadow Tag is an ability that traps the other Pokemon in
Okay.
play. He didn't utilize that strategy at all in the finals because it wasn't good in that matchup, but he didn't even bring either of the 2 Pokemon that are used for the, Parish Trap strategy in any of the 3 games.
Okay, okay. Yeah, but that was I mean that was pretty cool to see just kind of like cementing. I think from what I could see off Twitter, it seems like everyone's convinced that he is definitely the GOAT
Yeah.
over oh the name's eluding me right now. Trying to remember it.
Ray Rizzo.
Yeah, Ray Rizzo. It seems like he's been cemented. I know it's not like another world's win, but like the consistency at which he wins is just kind of ridiculous for how many of the biggest thing is like it's how many events he attend. Like his win rate is just insane.
Yeah. It's
Like
pretty and maybe in, like, all of esports, to be honest, is, like,
yeah,
one of the most impressive things is his win
definitely.
rate at majors. And he also revealed in his victory speech as well that he won the global challenge. Nobody knew who won the global challenge, which is their big, like, online events that tens of thousands of people play in. I think it's, like
Yeah.
I think it's over 10,000 people. It might not be tens of thousands, but
How do people not know he won?
because
I
he
mean
played on an alt and never posted about it. And it's not like there's a public
oh,
leaderboard.
okay.
You just
And he
so there's
did he not is your pop ID tied to it though? Like,
it
'cause it
is.
has to be, right? But you
Yeah.
don't have to use, you can use whatever name you want, I assume.
Yeah, he basically
Mm,
I literally saw this interaction on Twitter. I'll see if I can find it where he said that he was basically sacrificing the championship points for the anonymity anonymous to be able to be anonymous pretty much. What is the word? Anonymity
n
anonymous it's that's a rough one.
Nimity and an dude, I don't dude, let's not even try.
um But,
Be
yeah, that
anonymous,
was
yeah.
yeah, to be anonymous, that was, like, the price he paid pretty much. But, yeah, it was a cool one for sure,
Wait,
to
wait,
see him get the dub.
so he wasn't able to get the championship points from the placement of the tournament then? Of the
Yeah,
global challenge?
correct, from the global challenge. Yeah.
Oh,
See, he said someone replied, "Interested how you got CP. Was your account linked?" And he said, "I didn't get championship points because I didn't play on my main account, and I won't try to get them retroactively as it wouldn't feel right. The price I pay for that word." And then
anonymity?
yeah,
Anonymity? An
yeah.
anim dude.
I feel like that fish
Okay.
from, Finding Nemo, can't say
Yeah.
anemone.
Anemone, whatever it is.
It's all good. Yep.
Is that what the fish tries to say? I think it's anemone.
Yeah, something like that. And, yeah, so, I mean, it was
Um,
but, like, no one knew
how often do the
like,
global
won
challenges
this thing.
happen?
Huh?
Yeah.
So, he basically
How often do the global challenges happen?
he won the Toronto regionals, he won the global challenge, and then he won, EUIC in the span of, like, 2 months.
Yeah, but how often do the global challenges happen? How big of a tournament is it?
It's
Global
like
challenge.
is it quarterly? I wanna say it's quarterly, something like that. I think that seems right.
Okay, so they're pretty big. They're pretty big online tournaments.
Yeah.
Did he go to anything else in that span as well? Or was it just did he just win Toronto and then go to EUIC and then win EUIC?
Yeah, that's it. I don't think he was there one in between? There was, San Antonio, I don't think he went, but I'm pretty sure he didn't, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Well, what were we talking about beforehand? Where are we going next? Talking about
EUIC.
the seniors division players. Shout out to Gabriel on another dub. Yeah. UIC, I guess in general. I guess I already talked about it a little bit. Overall, the event felt like it ran fairly smoothly. I mean, we did get out of there. It was like 9 PM getting out of the venue. It's pretty packed in the venue overall.
I saw
Biggest tournament of
someone
all time,
Yeah, I saw someone tweet something like,
outside of
it's, like, kinda surprising, but it feels like we've outgrown the space that the Excel Center has for TCG, at least at the or for EUIC, at least at the moment. Like, they could rent more space, but, if someone I basically what I saw is that
yeah,
someone
yeah,
said
yeah.
it felt extremely packed in there.
Yeah, I think if we wanna go bigger, they need to get more space. I think one thing that would help with that, with the lack of space though, for sure, would be this would, like, help with congestion and people moving around the venue, would be to have online, match reporting. Because it's actually kinda funny, there was after round 1, I went to go turn in my match slip, and I guess maybe this does make sense actually. There was a massive line for VGC. There was 0 line for TCG. But I thought the massive VGC line was the TCG line. So I was like, "Oh, well." I went to go get in line and then I realized they had a different colored match slip. And I was like, "Oh, wait, what the heck's going on here?" And then I looked up at the Hive and the sign said VGC. But I guess that's because most of the video game matches end at the same time based on how their game plays. A lot of their matches are ending at the exact same time. So that makes sense for them to have a huge line because the TCG there was literally 0 line. You just walked up handing your match slip, but there was a lot of congestion around the Hive around that area, so it was kind of like a slow walk up to get to turning in your match slip, for sure. So I think that would help. That'd be like a big step for that, and it does seem like that is coming soon this year. They've already given us the ability to drop on our phones or drop online. So we can already drop from the tournament on your phone. So they are trying to like make that process smoother, obviously. So I can only imagine match reporting is coming to the phones, not just for TCG, but probably also the VGC because there's no reason to just limit it to TCG. Because it almost seems like it's a bigger deal for VGC. And I never thought about that before, and I was confused. Like I just like realized that right now in this moment, but I was confused at EUIC why there was such a long VGC line. They have like a third of the players. They had like 1,000 players. We had 3,000, and it was 3,300, I think, and something at EUIC. So the biggest tournament outside of Asia in the TCG ever, and it'll probably be bigger at NAIC as well. But yeah, we definitely pretty packed in there. They're going to need some more space if they want to go further, and I think we definitely could hit like 4K players, no problem, next season as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they just keep making it bigger, keep getting more people in the room, getting more stuff for people to do and all that as well. But yeah, glad to hear
Yeah.
the experience was good. I mean, watching from home, like the stream setup and all seemed like as good as it has been, was the stream setup like really far away from the TCG play area like it has been in the past?
Yeah, it was still pretty far. It was like Go and Unite were closest. The TCG, the thing is, like the TCG, the top tables were closest to it, but it was still. I mean, the top tables were like reasonably close to the stage. I guess they weren't like that far, but it was like a long walk from like the bottom tables to the top tables,
Yeah.
um, for sure. Because the way they had it was like, yeah, basically they had the main stage on one side of the hall, and then Unite and Go, not one after the other, but side by side in front of the stage, and then side by side all the way down, long ways down the hall was VGC and TCG. Um, but it wasn't too bad. They also had like the the check-in process was super simple, super easy as well. There's a big line to get into the venue. I actually forgot my badge in the hotel room the morning of.
Yikes.
So I was definitely worried about missing round one, but got to the customer service desk and was able to buy another one, thankfully, and made it to my seat with plenty of time remaining. But I definitely was sweating physically, like literally.
You had to buy another one?
Yeah, they make you buy, which isn't unreasonable. If you lose your badge, you have to buy another badge. Otherwise, like you could just like constantly just go there and get free badges and give them to your friends or something. So like,
Yeah,
they make you at least buy it. I mean, you could still theoretically do that, but like, obviously not what I was doing. I just needed another badge because I left mine in my hotel room. So
unfortunate. That's a
yeah, I
perk of
got there in
staying in a
time.
hotel that's close to the venue.
We were walking distance. We were pretty close. We weren't the closest hotel room. We were like one hotel over, but there was a lot of construction going on, so it
Mm.
made it like the walk to the venue from our hotel was a lot longer than it needed to be for sure than it normally would be. Dude, literally, I feel like or maybe it's just 2 years in a row, but literally last year in London, they had construction going on there. I feel like in the exact same, like roughly the same area. They're just like always doing construction there. It feels like
I think
around the
that's
Excel
just like
Center.
that's a constant truth in big cities and then also in old cities. Like, and especially when it's a big old city, like
Yeah.
there's just always something having to be worked on in order to like be upkept or whatever, right? Like cities literally start falling apart over time eventually. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And I guess like besides that, the what I guess like the big complaint to come out of the tournament, I guess like the only other thing that I saw people talk about a little bit was just like why is there not more stuff to do on day 2 if they have all this space?
mm,
But they do need to start breaking down some stuff at some point. And they do like run the League Cup and stuff like that. I don't know if they do anything for like VGC as far as like a smaller tournament on day 2, but the big thing was a lot of people, and I don't know why this is like why all of a sudden EUIC sparked this because it didn't feel like this came out after, or it doesn't feel like people had the same kind of feeling after LAIC that I can remember. But quite a few players were bringing up the fact that there's way they're like kind of refreshing the idea of that there's way less rounds now in the current tournament system than there was, and it feels bad to have lost those 2 Swiss rounds, which is what we normally would have had last season. We would have had 15 Swiss rounds, 2 more in day 2. But this season, we had 9 day 1, 4 day 2 instead of the 6. But we do
yeah.
have asymmetrical cut now. Question
Yeah.
is whether or not that trade-off is worth it.
Yeah, and I think the more we go into this season, I think the more I'm leaning towards it's not worth it, that the more Swiss rounds is better. And then it is unfortunate for the person or one or two people who bubble at like ninth, 10th or whatever. Like I think that if we have to choose between what we have now and what we had last year, I think what we had last year was overall better.
Yeah, and I think the majority of people agree with that as well. I haven't thought about it too hard myself, but I think yeah, it probably is just better to have the more rounds. And it is weird though, because like we had those that tweet. Was it from
Chris
who was
Brown.
it from? Who basically made it, yeah, Chris Brown, who basically made it seem like implied that like they thought this is what the community would want without even asking the community. Or no, maybe it wasn't Chris Brown. Maybe it wasn't like the update, the little article or whatever they put out. Actually, I think I don't think it was from Chris Brown. I think it was in that article that TPCI put out where they were basically like, well, to add asymmetrical cut, we had to get rid of Swiss rounds, and it's like okay, but like, they worded it in a way that made it seem like this is like we know the community really wants this, so we're gonna give it to them, but we're gonna take away Swiss rounds. But it's like I don't think the community wants to lose Swiss rounds to get
Yeah.
asymmetrical cut.
I think everyone
Um,
really liked the idea and likes the yeah, I think for the most part people like the idea of asymmetrical cut, right? Giving
yeah,
more people a chance to continue on in the tournament if you have like the same match points and stuff, right? But I don't think anyone knew that we didn't know what was going to have to be taken away for that
yeah,
to happen, right?
exactly.
And I think that's the drawback here. But yeah, I mean, we had a couple people kind of voicing their thoughts about it. Stefan here tweeting how last year at NAIC he went 6-1-2 in day one, but was able to make top cut by going 6-0 day two. And then he ended up getting second place at the tournament, right?
Yeah,
And that's a cool story as well because Stefan has won NAIC twice, right? And he was in a position to win it a potential third time. Um, and that's something that just wouldn't have happened in this current system going from day one to day two at 6-1-2. Um, and it's like been very evident since they like made that adjustment at the start of this season where you can make day two at a lower record, right? Knowing like so people going in from day one to day two at X12 and X21 go in knowing that they can't make top cut, right? There's still a lot to play for.
yeah,
There's, massive prizes for even top 60. I mean, top 64 at these ICs gets like $2,000. Like it's a lot of money, right? So there's a lot to still play for, but I think like for the top end of competitors, I mean, you yourself, if you went in to like this happened to you in Sacramento, right? You went in from day one to day two at 6-1-2 or 6-2-1, whatever it was, knew you
yeah.
couldn't
Six
make
two
top
one.
cut. You're just way less, you care way less about the tournament now. Like you're going to still try, obviously, but like you care about winning, you care about making top eight.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it's probably a little bit different than the average person, or even average like competitive Pokemon player as well. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel. But the thing is, like, I don't think that's too big of a concern. The idea of making day two and not being able to make cut, I personally don't have an issue with because I don't overly see a problem with like letting people who are like 5 and 4 make day two. Like if they want to play more rounds of Pokemon, that's basically what they did with this change mid-season, allowing instead of X2 making day two, X21 making day two, knowing people who go X21 almost will never make top cut. Although we did see it happen in Merida, and that's why I was able to win that tournament, is because X21 all of a sudden at some tournaments was able to make top cut, right? I think that's the only tournament we've seen it at, probably. X12 has made it into top cut at a couple tournaments so far, off asymmetrical cut, and then obviously we had Louisville where X2 didn't even make top cut. So we've had a little bit of everything. It feels like so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally wouldn't really have a problem with 5-4 making day two. So, but do we think someone who's 5-4 should have the chance to make top cut? Probably not. I think we can all agree on that. I think we could all, and then the only thing we could disagree on would be whether or not we think they should be in day two to begin with. And for me, it just comes down to a logistics thing. Like as long as they have enough judges and it makes sense logistically to have that many people playing in day two, then go ahead. If it doesn't, if it's like, no, for how much space we want to have available when we start breaking things down, or with how many judges we're going to have available in day two, it doesn't make sense for anyone worse than X2-1 to be in day two, then that also is fine. Then the question is just at that point, what record should be able to make top cut? What do you think players should need to achieve to be able to get top cut? And I'm pretty content with X and 2, to be honest. But I wouldn't mind X and 2 being the threshold with more rounds as well, or just more rounds in general. Then all of a sudden you can do worse than X and 2 to make cut, which is if we went up to 15 rounds again, we'd probably regularly see people at like, I don't know, X13 or X21 be making top cut, which I would be fine with as well. I'm not even against that. So I'm not even against more rounds, but I'm also content with the bar of X and 2, right? So,
Yeah, it's just a big difference from where we were, I feel like last season, where at basically every tournament that had 15 Swiss rounds, so
yep.
6 rounds of day two, 12 and 3 made cut. And at several of them, X 2 2, I guess probably wasn't, it was like at some of the smaller ones, but still with 6 rounds, X 2
Yeah.
2 was making cut. So it's like you're talking about a full 3 match point difference as to what it takes to get from
I
top
think I
cut last
got
season to this season, right?
I'm trying to think. I think actually at the one that I got ninth at, the one that Ryan Antonucci won, the one that Nucci won, I think I got ninth at X22, and then the X22 bubbled in. Like Jackson
Yeah.
Ford bubbled in over me. Um, Maybe there was two of us. Might have been just one of us though. Uh, so yeah, and yeah, so I mean, and I definitely don't think, like I said, I think the majority of the community, I think a lot of people don't care, which is kind of the more of the boat that I'm in. Nothing is extreme enough to the point where I care that much. Like I said, I'm content with X2 being the threshold to continue in the tournament. Um, if we have more rounds, great. I'm not against it. If that leads to records worse than X2 making cut, that's fine with me as well. Um, but I think the more competitive players, I think the majority of them, and even maybe some less competitive players, more casual players, just the opportunity to play more rounds just sounds kind of cool. So I think the majority of the community, probably in general, if you had to vote, uh, 13 rounds or asymmetrical cut versus 15 rounds, no asymmetrical cut, I think most people are voting 15 rounds for sure. Um, so yeah, it just makes it that. And then the weird part with that is it like coming from Pokemon, it doesn't sound like it's a logistical thing. It seems like whenever they talk about it, it seems like they think this is what the community wanted without asking the community. Although I think a lot of people do like the idea of asymmetrical cut. I do personally. I would love for that to stay, but not at the trade off of two Swiss rounds, obviously. It just seems like they like it's like they asked a question that they didn't, and they just never got a response from the community, but they just went with it anyways. I don't know. So it definitely feels weird for where we are now, and I think we will see a change, whether it be a midseason change or maybe not change until next season. I think they will make a change because I think the sentiment's pretty clear across the board from the community, and I think they know that they messed up a little bit with their assumption.
Yeah, I'm trying to I don't remember who I saw filling it out, but there was like some survey that someone was filling out after an event, and one of the things
Oh,
the
I remember
survey
that.
asked
Yeah.
them was something about the tournament structure, like what type of format they preferred.
Well,
And
I think it was asking the question about best of three or best of one.
yeah,
I
well, I
remember
saw one that
that.
was talking about something like double elimination and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um,
that would be
so
terrible.
yeah, that would be terrible. With can you imagine a 4,000 person double elimination tournament?
Dude, that'd be awful.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be rough. Yeah, I think double eliminations out. I don't even like I think cuz I think that's what like Pokemon Go plays right now, but I think they all hate it.
Yeah.
Because like I think the experience that ends up happening is like someone loses a round or like they win like the first couple and then they lose a round and then they have to wait for forever to play their game. So it's
Yeah.
like they'll win a game, lose a game. They have to wait for forever for the losers bracket to catch up. Then they get to play their game, they lose again. So they played 4 games. It took them like 5 hours to do, and then they're out of the tournament and it's over.
Yeah, it actually is kind of funny. Like the Swiss system is like, and I think it's less relevant in in a lot of esports. But the Swiss system is like the most competitive, I would say, system because you have the highest chance of getting the best players or the most prepared teams going forwards. And we've actually like League of Legends, the World Championships of League of Legends has adopted the Swiss system the last 2 or 3 years. And in some CS:GO major tournaments, they do it as well, where they play like a Swiss system. It's a little bit different. It's like um for League, if I remember correctly, it's like once you're 3-0, you get removed from the pool of teams. So you're playing to go 3-0, or you get to round 5 and you're 2-2 and you have to win your third match or whatever, right? So even like we see like even these huge esports start to adopt the Swiss system because it is like the more competitive system to get the best team, the best player, the most prepared team, the most prepared player going furthest in the tournament by having like more second chances, which you could also make the argument if you're not going all out and winning every single game, are you really um, the better team? But it does leave less up to luck, less up to chance, even in stuff like esports or even like sports. You can make the argument for as well, for sure. I mean, they kind of
Yeah,
have something. I mean, that's like the regular season in sports is kind of like that. Weeding out the better players,
sure.
giving them higher seeds, stuff like that. It's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that basically is what the regular season is, right?
yeah, it's like a long Swiss system.
Yeah.
Not quite because it's not based on your record, who you
Yeah,
play
I mean,
against,
and
but
logistically, I think like a Swiss system for like sports specifically probably just would never work with like,
yeah, definitely.
especially you think about football and stuff
I
like.
mean, they could start doing, yeah, for football, never, but, like, instead of doing, like, immediately into bracket, they could go into pools or something like that, like, more like round basically a Swiss system with, like, 8 teams on each side or whatever,
Sure.
and then progress from there somehow. Yeah, Tord did this. I had this tweet as well. Give us 2 more rounds. So Tord definitely feeling the 13 rounds. I think he went X2-1 in today too, and then he went 4-0. Not
Yeah.
enough for top cut though. I don't. It's not even not enough for top 16. I think he ended up top 32.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And for someone like him too, like I mean, I feel like he starts 4-0 in day 2 and he's like feeling the momentum. He's like, "All right,
Yeah.
who's like, come on, like I'm ready. Let's keep it rolling. Keep this tournament moving." And it's like,
No
"Nope,
one's stopping me at
it's
this point.
done. You're over."
Yeah. But once again though, like we said, like if someone was 4 and 5 and they were allowed to play day 2 if they wanted to. If they win 4 in a row and they're 8 and 5, I don't think anyone's like, they should be given the chance to make top cut
Sure.
somehow, right? So, like,
Sure.
it's not just about if you make day 2, you should have the chance to make top cut. The argument truly is, uh, it feels like there's not enough, forgiveness in the current system, or just the idea of more rounds is always better, and it doesn't seem like the logistics was a reason to take away these Swiss rounds. So just give us our more rounds back. People can still make day 2 and not make top cut, but just give us more rounds. And
Yeah.
if you actually go to Jake Gearhart's tweet, he
Which
put out
one?
a the one with the little graph for asymmetrical cuts. If you just go to his profile, um, he tweeted out one just kind of like showing like how they could, make the change. And this would be keeping asymmetrical cut as well, but it would be instead of giving us the potential of top 32 asymmetrical, limit it to just top 8 or to top 16 asymmetrical and give us back one Swiss round, I believe is
Yeah.
the trade-off he was looking for here. So or notes, natural Swiss +1.
Yeah, it's literally
Ooh, am I
doing
correct
that.
on
It's
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's adding one more Swiss round and capping TCG up to 16 players. Right now it's capped up to
Yeah, yeah, okay.
32
That's what I thought it
players.
was.
Yeah. And like that
Yeah, which is
that
very
is
unlikely
the
we ever get to a more go ahead, sorry.
no, it's like yeah, we're like you said, it's unlikely we're ever going to get to 32 players, but it's like baked into the schedule as something that could happen, which logistically when you're planning a massive event, you should plan for the most unlikely scenario to potentially like you need to have the plan for
The
that
outcome, yeah.
in place, yeah. So like in the schedule there
Yeah.
is
And
space
that's one of the
for a top
things
32 top cut round.
and that's one of the things they said in that, like, article that I talked about, where it's basically they were like, "Oh, the community seemed like they really want asymmetrical cut, so we want to give that to y'all, but we're taking away 2 Swiss rounds." And that's not something the community ever said they wanted. And that's what they basically said. It's like, "Well, to add the potential of a top 16 asymmetrical cut and a top 32 asymmetrical cut, we have to take away effectively 2 Swiss rounds to make up for the potential of that." But it's just then it's like, yeah, the community definitely does I don't think wants that trade-off, or the majority definitely doesn't, and I don't think anyone's gonna stop playing the game
Yeah.
if you give more Swiss rounds today too. So I don't know. I like asymmetrical cut, and maybe if they really like asymmetrical cut and they really want to keep it, this would be a good middle ground to meet at going into next season. I mean, maybe they make the change halfway through the season. I feel like they probably won't, but maybe next season give us back one Swiss round and then cap asymmetrical at top 16 instead of top 32. Oh. Yeah, I think that was everything to talk about as far as people's gripes with or how it seems like the community felt a little bit after the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, well, we do have a couple of new cards that we can take a look at that were revealed over the last week or so since our last episode. We did get a few Arvin's cards revealed, and we'll just hop right in and take a look. This is probably not all of them, right? Because it's just one or two Pokemon right now. So we'll probably see some other things, maybe some other support. But yeah, let's just get right into it. We've got Arvin's Mabostiff EX here, which is a 270 HP Darkness type Pokemon. It's a stage one, 3 retreat cost, weak 2 grass. It's got 2 attacks. The first one, Hustle Tackle for a colorless 30 plus. If this Pokemon doesn't have any damage counters on it, this attack does 120 more damage. And then Honcho Headbutt for 3 colorless, 210 damage. This Pokemon can't use Honcho Headbutt during your next turn. Then we've got the Arvin Sandwich here, which is an item card. Heal 30 damage from your active Pokemon. If your active Pokemon is an Arvin's Pokemon, heal 100 damage from it instead. And then Arvin's Greedent with the Greedy Order ability. Once during your turn, you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon. You may choose up to 2 Arvin's Sandwich from your discard pile, reveal them, and put them into your hand.
Arvin's sandwich cycle deck. Yeah, I hope you're right that there is going to be more Arvin's cards because Mabostiff is currently the only Arvin's Pokemon to heal with the sandwich, and Mabostiff seems kind of mid. I don't know
Yeah.
how much tankier can we make this thing. We got Rigid Band plus 30 HP or 30 damage reduction, and then is that it? Do we have anything else? I don't think we have anything else, right? 300 HP. That's not that big.
No.
But the sandwich combo is kind of cool, to be honest. So I'm hoping, yeah, hoping that another Arvin's card does come out at some point.
Yeah, that's a lot of healing on an item card. Like a lot. 100 for an item, like that's crazy.
Yeah,
But the attacks on this thing, this Pokemon literally reads like a bad promo box card. Like
yeah. All colorless attacks. We don't have a double in the format.
yeah.
Um, yeah, not great for sure.
Um
Starter deck card for sure.
Yeah, and that might be what some of this stuff is from. And I honestly like saying that. I say that as kind of a joke, but I genuinely would not be that surprised if Arvin's Bobostiff was like a promo box card eventually for us. It probably won't be because I guess it's like in their main set and he's like a popular trainer from the games, but it'd be kind of funny. We've got 4 different ogre pawns, one
Yeah.
for each of the masks. Each of them are pretty similar. Um they all have this, colorless attack that searches your deck for an energy of whichever, corresponding type for the Pokemon, attaching it to another of your Pokemon in play. And then their second attacks, 3 energy for 100 or 120 damage. This one for 80, and then some other effect. The fire one burns. The grass one can't use its attack in back to back turns. The fighting one says discard the top card of your opponent's deck, and the water one says heal 30 damage from this Pokemon. All these cards seem pretty not good competitively to me.
Yeah, especially because I mean, the only thing I can think about with them, to be honest, is like some kind of tech card for a certain matchup in like the Ogre Box deck that has become like a deck. Next format after rotation, you can like accelerate extra energy into play with like the Ogre Pawn EX, and then you can use the mask change item card to like get into a one prizer all of a sudden that like maybe is effective for like weakness, like the fighting one specifically could be good, maybe. I mean, yeah, probably not great, but that's all I can think of as far as that goes. That was actually a card that I wasn't like surprised to not see it, but definitely feels like it could kind of work in the the fighting or the ogre box deck to do like back to back water pawn attacks because you can like turn your grass pawn that has energy on it already into a water pawn and then snipe again on your next turn. But it's probably a little bit too clunky to ever set that up. The deck isn't like super focused around ogre pawn, the grass one.
Yeah, and I feel like once you use the water one once, for the most part, you've like kind of done its job, right? And you're ready to like move into something else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if they restabilize, and if they don't stabilize, then you can just use it again. Usually, like attack with the same water pond that you had set up.
We also have a couple of new Ethan's cards. We got Ethan's Pincer for a grass 20 damage. And then for 3 colorless, Revenge Strike 70 plus if any of your Ethan's Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn. This attack does 100 more damage. Then we've also got in Pseudo Wudo here, Mimicry for the second attack. The first attack, fighting 20 damage during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. And then Mimicry, I don't know. Flip a coin. If heads, choose
Mimicry,
one of your opponent's
like
active.
mimicry.
Yeah, something like that. Flip a coin. If heads, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack.
Yeah. So I think the pincer is like very obviously like a anti Charizard card for the Ethan's deck. I don't know. I mean, it does do 20. Oh no, it does 170. Yeah, so it's literally anti Charizard card for the Ethan's deck. I thought it did 220. I was like, oh, that Chaos Ogre Bond. But no, it's 70 base, so 70 plus 100. And then the Sudowoodo,
Now hold on.
the card.
You might be thinking it's anti Charizard, but what if it's actually anti Arvin's Mabostiff?
Ooh, they're prepping for the broken sandwich deck. Dude, honestly, I could see it. I could see it.
The Ethan's Pincer gatekeeps
But
the
yeah, and then
Arvin
the
sandwich deck.
yeah. Yeah. That's so unlucky if that, like, actually is the interaction that happens. It's like, the sandwich deck is broken, but you can't beat Ethan's, and Ethan's is, like, a good tier 2 meta deck right now, usually around 10% of the meta, and they all got the pincer in there just in case someone shows up with a sandwich, or a Charizard, so that would be unlucky. But yeah, the Sudowoodo is like, I don't know, I could see Sudowoodo being a tech card, honestly, outside of the Ethan's deck, because it is just 2 colorless energy for the attack. We've seen worse tech cards, I feel like, be pretty good. It is on a coin flip, but, like, if it's 50-50 to, like, win a matchup for some reason based on what you could copy, like, I don't know, could be good. Like, I
I feel
used, like, speaking of that actually as, like, a interaction, I used Mew to copy Dialga this weekend, so the V-Star, so
that's pretty funny.
so, I mean, anything's possible. Um, yeah, it was, like,
Yeah,
basically my only out.
I think that the Pincer seems like, yeah, if there's a grass weak deck in the format, yes, it's a good card to play in the Ethan's deck.
Yeah,
The Sudowoodo, I feel like it's pretty unlikely that anyone's actually going to play this thing just because it is a coin flip, right? If it was like a true mimic
yeah.
attack, it would be really good for sure, especially for 2 colorless. It would probably be too good. But
Yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah, putting it on a coin flip just instantly kind of takes it down to basically unplayable tier, to be honest. But yeah, there's a couple new cards. Shout outs to Twan
Well, it's
for
like a
the
good
translations as always.
only thing
Dude,
I could see alongside, like, is it kind of like a gimmick counter card, but you could use it turn 1 instantly, going second. Like, if they I don't know, if they open if they open Miraidon, turn 2 Sudowoodo, go for the knockout,
yeah, and
or
then you
turn
flip
1 Sudowoodo,
tails,
go
and
for
then
the knockout.
then you flip tails, and then they amp your your pseudo wudo.
I mean, what if the matchup is so bad that it's either hit heads or lose the game
Then you
anyways? Like,
probably
we're all in
wouldn't
on
play the
Pseudo at that
deck
point.
if Miraidon was that big of a deck, you know?
Dude, honestly, that is just speaking of that, because rotation's happening. Honestly, Miraidon still seems kinda good. You still got Generator, you still got Magneton. It hasn't popped up at all in City Leagues from what I've seen. So maybe it's not good, but honestly, it seems like it's still decent. I'm probably trolling, but
Well, it is time for Guess That Flavor Text, but before we get there, we do have to take a moment to thank our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy Podcast. Dragon Shield, of course, makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products on the market. We love them for their sleeves. I'm sure Azul was rocking his box of yellows this weekend at EUIC. How did they treat you, buddy?
yeah, the yellows worked as always, and the shout out to Dragon Shield for a restock as well on products. Going to quite a few more events this season, or currently planned to. So I mean, like I said, like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to was it Vancouver in just 2 weeks. Yeah, it's only 2 weeks away now. So got some magentas this time around to work with, to play with. So I'm gonna be making the color switch over to those. But yeah, shout out to Dragon Shield as always, for sponsoring the podcast. Check them out, dragonshield.com. Link, of course, will be in the description. And you can use code UEPOD, get yourself 5% off, and directly support us here on the podcast.
Yep, that is code UEPOD. Click the link in our description. Use that code. Get yourself 5% off and help to support us. Thanks again, of course, to Dragon Shield for all that they do for us here at the Uncommon Energy podcast. And then now it is time, Azul, for us to move on to Guess That Flavor Text, where each week, either you or I picks a card, reads the flavor text from it, and then has the other host try to guess which Pokemon is featured on that card. There are 3 different lifelines you can use to help you out to get yourself less points, but get yourself closer to guessing the Pokemon correctly. The lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. It is my turn to pick a card for you. I've got one picked out. It is currently a score of 32 to 29. I unfortunately did not
We've
get
been here a while.
yeah, I did unfortunately not get Blipbug last week because why does Blipbug have any hair? Who knows? But apparently it does. Someone in the comments was like, "Oh, Chip, have you never seen a caterpillar? Caterpillars have hair." It's like his name is Blipbug. Blipbug.
Instead of what? Blip pillar? Like
Yeah,
pillar
dude,
ball?
Blip Biller, bro. Get that the guy Blip Biller in there.
Blip pillar. Blip pillar. All right, Chip. I'm ready for this week's flavor text.
All right, here we go. Its bud looks like a human face. Because of the bud, it is rumored to be a type of legendary Mandarake plant.
Okay, well, I can already think of a couple. There's Sunflora, but I feel like for some reason I think this is a basic Pokemon. Go ahead, read me it again.
Its bud
Cherubi.
looks like a human face. Because of the bud, it is rumored to be a type of legendary Mandarake plant.
I have no idea what a Mandarake plant is. That makes me think it's like, dude, because there's stuff like, okay, so I'm thinking of there's so many like plant Pokemon. This could be Cherubi, Cacnea, Sunflora, uh, not Bellsprout. Bellsprout? That's the right one. What does Sunflora evolve from? It evolves from
Sunkern.
Sunkern. I need to know what stage the Pokemon is for sure. So what stage is the Pokemon?
It is a basic Pokemon.
Okay. Oh, there's still so many options though. So now I'm looking at Cherubi or Cacnea or Sunkern. Go ahead, read it to me one more time.
Its bud looks like a human face. Because of the bud, it is rumored to be a type of legendary Mandarake plant.
I have no idea what a Mandarake plant is, but that might be like a Pokemon thing, so it doesn't even matter. Like there's no connection to like anything, any kind of plants, uh, in the real world. So it said it's bud, so it's definitely not Cacnea. I don't think so. I think I can take Cacnea off the board. So it's like Cherubi. I can't fully visualize Sunkern, so it could be Sunkern. I think I'm gonna have to go a little bit further here. I feel like the attack name is just not gonna help me because it's gonna be something like I don't know. It's gonna be some generic plant Pokemon name. So let's go with what set the card is from. Maybe this can help me.
It is from Battle Styles. Also, I will say I'm saying Mandarake. I think that's how it's pronounced, but it also could just be Mandrake plant.
Mandrake is a thing.
Okay, maybe I'm just
I
dumb.
think Mandrake sounds like a thing.
Maybe
This,
I was just trying to put a little Japanese flair on it or something, I guess,
um,
incorrectly.
yeah, I I want to say Cherubi because I can't really think. But Mandrake makes you think dragon, but maybe now I'm like thinking too hard about that. So I think I should just lock in Cherubi. I'm trying to think of like any other Bud. I mean Badoo, but it's not Badoo. Um, yeah, because there's no Badoo in Battle Styles. I think there was a Cherubi in Battle Styles as well. That seems like a pretty good guess. I'd like to get the second point if possible. There definitely around that time there was Cherubi, and Cherubi evolves into Cherrim, right? I'm not trolling with that.
Correct.
Yeah. Let me try. Go ahead. Give me it one more time. Give me the flavor text one last time.
Its bud looks like a human face. Because of the bud, it is rumored to be a type of legendary mandrake plant. Yeah, it's definitely mandrake.
Mandarake. Uh,
Mendarake.
um,
What is wrong with me?
Mandrake plant, Badoo. Not no, not Badoo. Cherubi. Am I locking in Cherubi? Uh, sure. Let's lock in Cherubi.
So, Azul, there is Cherubi in Battle Styles, but it is not this Pokemon.
Okay, what is the
There
attack name?
is one more lifeline here. It is the attack name. The attack name is Venoshock.
Hmm. So,
I think if you'd asked for that, you would have gotten off Cherubi.
is it what is it the what is the basic of the Bellsprout? Not Bellsprout. Weeping Bell.
Yeah, what is the basic of Weeping Bell?
Bellsprout?
Yeah,
Is it Bellsprout?
it is Bellsprout. You literally
Uh
said it so early on, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna get 4 points." I
see,
messed up.
I didn't know there was a Bellsprout in the set at all.
You didn't, dude.
Um,
It had the broken
no.
Weeping Bell.
Yeah, I didn't know where this came from. I knew there was the Cherubi. If I had asked for the lifeline, I would have got there though for sure. Because I know the final evolution is always like a special condition Pokemon. That I would have backtracked from that. Ah, could have had 1 point. Could have had one. Um, yeah, I
Instead,
knew
you
there
have
was a Cherubi
0.
in the set, or I think there was. Yeah, I thought there was a Cherubi in the set or in a set around the set. Bellsprout,
It's
I definitely did not know for sure was in this set.
it's funny because there's a Cacnea in the set as well, which was another Pokemon you were naming.
It's all right. We'll get them next time. Maybe I should have settled for the 1 point. Maybe I should have been like, we've already used two. Should I just use the lifeline to give myself a little bit more to work with? But I thought it would be like something like Leafage, and I'd be like, well, that could be literally any grass Pokemon. So
Venoshock, buddy. So we do have the results of EUIC that we can take a look at. I guess first we'll start off by taking a look at the meta shares from the event. And I will say, based on our, I think we were both pretty wrong about a couple of things, but I think I was very wrong about my meta share. My meta shares were pretty off this time for sure.
or our meta shares were didn't we like agree on meta shares though? I thought it's like what we came
We
to like
did,
a
but I think I was kinda pushing the envelope a little bit on some like, you were like, "Dude, Guardia is still gonna be 10%." I was like, "Dude, Guardia is gonna be 4%."
yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. And you thought like Lugia would be down there as well.
Yeah,
Now, maybe they should have been, like, for
sure.
expected result. I don't think, either of them were great plays going into the tournament because Miraidon was so popular. But, one thing that we both got wrong definitely was the Archaludon. We didn't think it would be like we thought it would be like, what, 7, 8, I think? Or
Yeah.
maybe but yeah, it
Yeah.
was up there. It was 11.7%.
We also both thought that Miraidon would solidly be the second best deck, the second most played deck.
I was a little bit less I was a little bit unsure. I knew it would be top 3 or I thought it would be top 3 for sure. I just didn't know if it would pass Guardy or not. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't sure if it would pass Guardy or not. But, it wasn't. I was actually number 4. And I'm surprised it to see Archaludon be more popular than it for sure. Definitely surprised by that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just
Dragapult number 1, definitely not a shock. Um, and I guess I would say that the Cloth, sneaking its way onto the top 6 was, not, something I would have predicted as well.
yeah, I would have thought, like, based especially based on what we saw with Mexico, that, like, this would probably just be, like, Charizard, right? Even though we didn't neither of us thought
Yeah.
I thought Charizard was a decent play, to be honest, but I think most people would agree Charizard's not a great play overall. Um, but I thought like people would still just kind of stick with it, and it was all the way down here in the best of the rest, 3.1%. Golden Go though sneaking up, and a big part of that is because pretty large contingent of American players chose to play it to the tournament. It's really funny if you click on Xander's list because it's just like, oh, that's a lot of people on the same
Yeah.
60 in day two.
That is quite a bit. Yeah, the Golden Goal did come through, in the tournament. Yeah, not just this crew as well. Yellow made top 16. Shout out to the Golden Go King, I guess.
He definitely is the Golden Go King for
Yeah, if we want to give
sure.
him that title, ended up with a top 16. Definitely a different list. Was also on the Monkey Dory, but not the Arvin and the Team Evolution. Sticking with the Palkia
Yeah.
combo there instead. Um, yeah, Golden Go definitely yeah it popped up a little bit in the meta percentage. It was there, and then also it did perform pretty well as well. We see a Caesar build here Bro, my chat is gonna be I make fun of Caesar in Golden Go all the time. People are always trying to push their Caesar,
Yeah.
propaganda, and I'm always like, "Nope, card's terrible," but top 32 here from, Ilya, who also got, what, 2nd at LA or top 4 at LAIC, right, with Golden
That
Go?
that's right, yeah.
So the Golden Go honestly, the Golden Go believers are strong. Like, they keep coming back with Golden Go time and time again, and they're performing consistently as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it kinda shows the benefit of, like, just sticking with a deck, I feel like, right? Like, being comfortable is the most important thing with whatever you're playing to a tournament, for
Yeah,
most
definitely.
people, for sure. But yeah, let's finish looking at some of the statistics here. Let's look at day two conversion rates and stuff. Dragapult was most popular in day one, but it didn't pick up any meta share going into day two. Actually dropped just a tad, a little
Yeah,
under eight, a little over 18% in day one, a little under in day two. And then Gardevoir picked up quite a bit, up to 16%.
yeah, and then from there, kinda the same, and except for Golden Go replacing Lugia, which isn't a huge surprise because Rhydon is 11% of the tournament, and it's a pretty terrible matchup.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure. I want to say I'm gonna go take a look at cards real fast. Where most Dragapults rocking Sinnoh, 73% still had Sinnoh in day two, so Dragapults are also still preparing for Lugia as well.
Yeah. Which may not be the case moving forward. But yeah, and then we see like on the best of the rest here, Snorlax picks up a decent bit from day one to day two, doubling basically in percentage. 2% day one, 4% day two. And it was two out of the top eight
Yeah,
was Snorlax control.
it did have a strong placement. And did we both put it in D tier? I feel like we both put it in D
No, I
tier.
put it a little higher up, I
Did
think.
you? I honestly
Yeah.
think I would still put it in D tier. I still don't think Stall's that good of a good of a deck. I'm not gonna lie. Despite his strong performance at UIC,
Yeah.
I think I would still put it in D tier if I ran it back, even with this knowledge.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into the decks and the placements. And the event was won by Ryuki Okada, his second western part of the world dub of the season. He won Dortmund
Yeah.
regionals to start the year, gets the win here at EUIC over Natalie Miller in the
I'm
finals.
actually curious. Can you just click on his name? How many has he been to? He maybe missed a day two at one of them if
He's
he
been
went to
to Dortmund, LAIC, Perth, and London. I don't know if he's been to other ones or
yeah.
not. I think there is a
Possibly has,
website where you
but
can see that.
is there?
I think so.
Oh, is it like the ELO
Yeah, maybe.
tracking?
I don't remember what the name of it
Yeah, I don't
is.
remember
You
that
can
either.
see like at what rate someone converts from day one to day two and stuff.
But it's probably a pretty safe guess that even if he did play at it's probably only around 5, maybe 6 majors, and getting 2 wins, one of them being an IC is, like, pretty impressive no matter what, right? Even if there's more tournaments that he did go to.
Yeah.
Um, Probably not more than 1 or 2, but if it is just the 4 or even up to 5 or 6, it's still super impressive. And definitely I don't know, is he the top performing player of the year so far? Like, who's, like because he
Him or
has been
Henry probably, right?
yeah, him or Henry probably overall. Actually, fun fact about Henry: Henry did not play Gardevoir at this tournament. Switched over to Golden Go. Was playing I don't know, the Squad 60. Uh, Gave up on Gardevoir. Didn't go great for him, but it was definitely a surprise to hear that he gave
Yeah.
up on Gardevoir. Um,
Yeah, he played versus Caleb on stream, I think in round 2 or 3
yeah,
of the day. I went back and
mhm,
watched the beginning of that one at least. And
yeah, I'm
was
not overly
surprised to see, or I was like, I went back to here's what the interaction was, because like I woke up and the first few rounds of the tournament had already happened. I was looking at like the chat Caleb had sent that he said, he was going on stream versus Henry. And I was like, oh, okay, Miraidon versus Gardevoir. We'll see how it goes. I scrolled back on the stream and I was like, what is this? I was shocked.
Golden Go. Yeah, but it is the Go. Um, he did end up playing the Go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him back on Gardevoir for the next one, though.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be too shocked to see.
Okay, let's take a look at Ryoki's. We didn't take a look at the list yet, but it was Cloth Terapagos, a deck that isn't a deck that maybe abuses Badoo better than any other deck. It's not really a shock that this deck. I like. I don't think anyone thinks it's a bad deck. I'm not. I wasn't a huge fan of it going into this tournament, and I do. And Ryuki's build, I would say overall, is decently innovative. The Monkey Dory isn't like something super crazy out there. That idea I've seen floating around for a while now, but there's some like key cards that Ryuki doesn't play that pretty much everyone else plays or has been playing. Only 3 Area Zero, no Iron Bundle. I feel like Mew or Reggie Drago has kind of made itself as a staple in most builds as well. And when I say Reggie Drago, I mean the baby Reggie Drago that draws up to 4 cards.
Yeah.
And but playing none of those, so definitely seems to have refined the deck quite a bit, thinning out, trimming the fat, I guess, if you would, trying to figure out just the most important cards to play. Um, and yeah, a really strong showing with the build, and yeah, like I said, decently innovative build overall as well. Like had some stuff that we haven't seen before, or I like do well. You know, the Monkey Dory didn't play the black belt, had the Kieran instead. I would say like the omissions are the biggest or the most interesting parts about the list. The things that he chose not to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Up on the force switch card. I feel like not many people play force switch card, right, in this deck, or am I trolling with that?
Well, no, usually it's not 4 unless they're playing the Iron Valiant, then we'll see
Yeah.
4, of course, but yeah, usually you don't see 4 switch card unless there's the Iron Valiant in the deck, and the biggest thing for me is definitely the lack of Iron Bundle, because in general, that card feels kinda broken. In this deck, honestly, I can kinda see it as well, because like, turn 1 attacking with Badoo into pretty much anything is fine, and you have
Yeah.
Cloth to kind of go off of as well, so if they get open a Pheasantipity, you could still Badoo it, or you could just Cloth KO it for 2, so you're never like you don't need the Iron Bundle turn 1 to get a big KO, you always have an attacking option to be able to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of Pheasantipity and Cloth turn 1 KOing it, perfect
Yeah.
segue into what was probably one of the worst finals we've had at a majors in a long time, to be honest. Ryuki donked Natalie's lone Pheasantipity in game one. Natalie goes draw pass, Pheasantipity active. Ryuki KOs it with Cloth, like you mentioned. We had a really close game two. Natalie eventually comes ahead and wins with a pretty big, like, Dusknoir play, right? Able to pull ahead, win that game from behind, which was cool to see. And then in game three, Ryuki chooses to go first. Natalie opens up one Dreepy, and Petrunt does its thing. Ryuki had like the stones opening.
Yeah, open
Uh,
Dory. I mean, opening Monkey Dory is just like,
no,
yeah.
a Rangaroo.
Or Rangaroo, excuse me, not Monkey Dory.
Yeah, he had
Um,
he had a Rangaroo plus Heavy Ball in his
yeah.
hand.
So you
So
can't whiff. Like,
the only way he whiffs is if he prizes all three Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, I'm pretty
or
sure.
Trolley. You could price Trolley, maybe. Maybe you don't have all the pieces if you price Trolley.
Sure.
But yeah, pretty unlikely to whiff at that point. Actually, another card that I was surprised to not see because and this is my analysis lately of this deck has been Theory. I played this deck a lot when the new set for was it new set? We had a new set. What do we have? New set or rotation or something? What
What?
happened?
Whenever we
Do
got
yeah,
Badoo?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever we got Badoo, I played this deck a lot initially, and I'd kind of come to the conclusion that I think you need to play Petra on EX for that extra turn one donk percentage. That's something I was surprised to see Ryuki not playing was no Petra on EX.
Well, and
It
maybe that's
allows
made
you
up for
to
with four switch cards, right?
yeah. I mean, that's like the thing is like you can find the Petron off the trolley is like the big part. So you can like hard retreat or switch card into a Rangaroo, then you a Rangaroo for Seal Stone for trolley, and then trolley finds you Petrarunt, Sneasler, Brute, plus the ancient booster capsule from the Guru, finding the Forest Seal Stone as well. And then you trolley into all those, and then you Petron push up your Petron EX pushes up your baby Petron to get the knockout with the poison KO early on. But yeah, if you do open like a switch card, then you can still pull that off as well. Or if you just open the Orangaroo, you only need to pivot once anyways, and Latias can always do that for you if you don't have another tool. So
Yeah.
another piece.
So it was a bummer to see a finals not really end up being that competitive, but I mean that's like one of the strengths of the deck, right?
Yeah,
What is it? I
definitely.
saw someone tweet, was it Smarts that said like, I'm convinced that the Terafagos cloth deck just 50/50s into everything, but then or into the field, but then is only good because Petrunt can, donk people, right? Which I don't
Yeah.
know if that's like totally true, but it
It's not
definitely
that yeah,
it
you're not
picks
seizing
up
that much.
it picks up percentage points because it has the ability to do this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Or I could also like I guess you could like another thing you could tie to. I mean, that's just what the deck is, though, right? It's a little bit of a cheat. It feels cheesy because like some of your wins come from going first, taking maybe not even donking, but just getting a early knockout with the Petron. Or you go second, your opponent has a really slow turn one going first, and the Badoo either just wins the game because they can't play items anymore, or you donk their only Pokemon in play. So the deck is definitely feels a little cheesy, but it is like a very powerful deck overall. It consistently does those things as well. You know, it's
Yeah.
like not like getting lucky. It's not like a continuous coin toss with a gimme ghoul, donking a Ralts or something.
And then second place was Natalie Miller with a pretty just straightforward and like consistent Dragapult build.
Yeah, there's like nothing too crazy here. It is a Dusknoir build, and we'll take a look at another build or two here that are not Dusknoir builds. I am happy to see because I played with Dragon Ball Duster for the first time before the tournament. Nucci wanted to play some games, so I played some games against him. And seeing the 3-2-1 Dustar line is cool to see because that's what after playing some games with the deck, I was like, I think you need 3-2-1 Dustnor, like or 3-2-2. I guess you could play two Dustnor, but I think two Dustclops comes before two Dustnor after playing some games with the deck. And so I was happy to see that. Now I agree with that. It kind of like reaffirms my thoughts on that. It was cool to see.
Yeah, kind of interesting to see Natalie here not playing the exact same 60 as
That was interesting for sure.
Brent and crew, I would assume. So this is the 60 that Brent and Aiden Coos used to get top cut at Merida, and then what James Cox used, who's one of the testing partners for Natalie, to also get top 8 at EUIC here. But this build from Natalie, it's just a couple cards different. There's a third Lance in here. There's
Yeah.
no Lost Vacuum. It's a 3-2-1 Dusknor build instead of a 3-1-2 Dusknor. And I think the credit for this list also goes to Ethan Hegster Heggy. Shout outs to Ethan showing up for the casters. I believe I saw that on Twitter that Natalie credited Ethan for the list here.
Yeah. The 3-2-1, man. That's it. Dustclops is just like it's so good is right now, and it's so much easier to get to than a Dustnor. It's so hard to get to Dustnor. It's so easy to get to Dustclops.
I
Yeah, there was a
actually
go ahead.
queued up and played a couple games on TCG Live today with this deck. Just wanted to try it out a little bit. And for some reason, dude, I hate that they reset you from Arceus League all the way down to Pokeball tier. It's like absolutely terrible. We have to play through so many games just to get back to like actually having competitive games. I feel like because I played against 4 Flareon box decks.
Yeah, there's a lot of evolutions decks in the lower. You know what's really funny though? When you initially get to Arceus tier, you go back to playing like weird meme decks. It's
Yeah,
because it's like the and for anyone who plays League of Legends, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like people are just trying to get to a certain point, and then they kind of give up on trying, and they just go back to their trolling or memeing or whatever. Like
yeah.
there's certain plateau or certain ranks in League of Legends where people just want to get to the next, just get to the platinum or diamond, and then they just kind of only play games there just to make sure they don't decay, and then they just like stay there at that rank.
Yeah.
No intention of trying to go past that.
But I will say it was very nice that when I was playing those decks that Eevee only has 50 HP. So that was pretty nice for Dusclops for
Flopped
sure.
them, took them.
But yeah, very good looking list for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see people playing, this 60 within a couple cards moving forward for, Vancouver and stuff in a couple weeks.
Maybe, but there was a couple other interesting lists. I think we could like stay on the Dragapult train here for a little bit before we talk about the rest of the top 8 lists. We could take a look at the list here. Is this Vinny's list?
Yeah, this is Vinny's list, which Gabrielle also used to win in the seniors division. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I mean, there's a bunch of really unique standout cards here. There's a Monkey Dory with a Darkness Energy. There's a Klefki. There's a Blood Moon Ursaluna. This is definitely just like a anti-meta almost. I don't know that it's necessarily anti-meta. Like Klefki plus Monkey Dory kind of fits that mold, right? Ursaluna is
Yeah.
just kind of like a good card that people haven't been playing in this deck, but it's kind of nice, honestly, to give you that extra little push at the end of a game. Being damage capped at 200 with Dragapult can be a problem for this deck to like close out games sometimes. So having that extra push with Blood Moon or Saluna, you also can like Alakazam to move some damage to make it do a little bit more. It's pretty good, honestly.
Dude, there's a Defiance vest. What the heck? What do we got that in there for? Yeah, there definitely is some interesting cards in here. Some that I have to like think. I mean, the Monkey Dory seems really good in Mirror. Ursaluna seems like it could be even the play you go for aggressively up against Miraidon because you can like turn 2 Crispin to Ursaluna and knock out their Iron Hands. Um, the Klefki is actually something I thought about. I was like, I wonder if Dragon Ball players will include Klefki for the Miraidon matchup, and I assume that's what it's here for. I can't imagine what else the Klefki is actually played for. I mean, there's probably situations where you could push it in the mirror match, just shut down Luminian and Rotom, which isn't terrible, but I assume it's mostly here for the Miraidon matchup. Go first, push Klefki. It is tough for them to deal with that for sure. So I did think about that going to the tournament. I was like, I wonder if Dragon Ball players will go as far as playing Klefki. Turns out some did. But yeah, besides that, interesting cards. Besides that, right? You got the Defiance Vest, or not the Defiance Vest. You got you have the Defiance Vest, Unfair Stamp over Crystal. The Ursaluna's in there. Lost City does still have the Temple Sinnoh, but also has a Lost City in here. A little bit higher of an energy count as well. You see the 4-3, 4 Psychic, 3 Fire, probably to help try and make up for the lack of the Crystal and trying to get that turn 1 attachment down to a Dreepy as soon as possible, so you can actually get off a potential of a. Oh wait, there's no rare candy in here. Am I trolling? Did I just miss that?
Yeah, there's no rare candy at all. No rare
Dude,
candy, no Night Stretcher either, which I guess is not as good when you don't have
I
Dusknoir in your deck, but
didn't even
is
realize that at
still a nice
first.
way to get energy cards back, right?
The super unset. All right, there's a lot. There's a little bit more going on here than I initially saw because I looked at some of the lists earlier, but I didn't like look at them that hard. I guess I didn't even realize the lack of rare candy in
There's no
here.
Rotom in here either.
Yeah, double Luminion. So still trying to play heavily for like the 4 Sealstone combo, but not concerned with the Rotom draw. Oh, yeah, but there's 2 Badoo. Sorry, we're kind of locked in on just Badooing and getting Dracloaks online as soon as possible. There's the 3 lands to help with that. The other list I was going to say that we could bring up and take a look at, which is like a little bit closer to this one than Natalie's, is Towards. Um,
Yeah.
Now I'm actually kind of curious. Did Tord play rare candy? There's 1 rare candy in Tord's list. Okay. But once again, unfair stamp, no crystal. So kind of close to be honest. To not yeah, it's pretty. It's not like not too far away to be honest from what the Fernandez were playing. It is like a lot slower of a build, right? 4 lands actually in this one over the 4th Arvin. So I feel like a lot of similar ideas. Also has the Ursaluna, no Monkey Dory, of course, but
Four Lance is just the new four Tapu Lele. Let's get it.
then there's a Latias, which I assume is for when you want to go with like an early Ursaluna hit, so you can move it after that. But there's also 2 Turo in this list as well. How many Turo was there Turos in the other list?
Yeah,
The
Vinny
Fernandez
had
list?
one.
Yeah. Dude, these are some interesting builds. I think there's a lot to look at for Dragapult moving forward, all just based on these 2 lists. Like the list that Natalie played was basically the go-to way to play Dragapult, right?
Yeah.
Um, with the Dusknoir and everything. And then now, yeah, there's all this Ursaluna stuff going on. Makes things interesting. Um, and I guess there's one more Dragapult list to take a look at. This one is not as crazy, even though it is very underplayed. Oscar Madsen's been hyping up this deck for forever. I feel like he's been talking about it on Twitter a lot, sharing his list. It's the Dragapult Charizard deck, which yeah, even though it's the least played of all the builds for sure, actually, I don't even know. I guess in comparison to the Ursaluna build, maybe not. But this is a deck that like basically everyone knew about. I feel like everyone knew about this deck, but I feel like a lot of people didn't give it the time of day. I'm definitely one of those players. I'm still not sure. I'm convinced this is the way to play Dragapult if you're going to play Dragapult. But I mean, Charizard's not bad. Can't be bad to have that alongside Dragapult. 2 super powerful Pokemon right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, in all of these decks, Dragapult or Dusknoir, Charizard, Blood Moon Ursaluna, they're all trying to fix the problem of like Dragapult is a broken attacker of extremely good card, but it's like capped as to what it can do at the end of games, right?
Yeah.
So Ursaluna helps that, Dusknoir helps that, and Charizard helps that. That's like what all of these are trying to do. So which one of the three is the best? I don't know. I think there's like merit to all of them for sure.
Yeah, it is tough. And I think the one you want to play is probably the one that gives you the biggest edge in the mirror match. Which I could see being the Monkey Dory approach for sure.
Probably. Yeah, the Monkey
Yeah.
Dory has to be insane in the mirror match for sure.
Yeah, because I see Dragapult. I think
I think
Dragapult's going to be the most popular deck for a little while now, and it might even become more popular because I think Gardevoir is maybe going to fall off. I wouldn't be surprised if Gardevoir, because Gardevoir is still super popular at this tournament. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gardevoir fall off and Dragapult even maybe get more popular.
it was super popular, but there's only two in top 32.
For what, Gardevoir?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
did not
three,
have.
three, three in top 32.
Yeah, I'm still like an okay showing. I think honestly, the biggest thing for me for Gardevoir
It
that
it is an okay showing, but like when you consider its play rate and then also its
yeah,
conversion from day one to day two, 16% of the day two field, none in top 16 even. I think that's a pretty bad showing, to be
I don't.
honest.
Honestly, I feel like the variance of getting top 16 at tournaments right now is like because you can go from your winning in to top 32, right? So getting
Yeah.
top 16 isn't like a great indicator of like success at a tournament, right?
I guess
You
that's fair
potentially go
because
further.
that's literally what happened to
Yeah,
Sebastian Lashmet here.
yeah, exactly, right. So I'd say like Sebastian still had a better tournament performance than if a Gardevoir had one up to top 16, right? There just wasn't any of those, but he was there on the winning in to get to top 8, right? And then lost to the Dialga. Um, yeah, I think the biggest thing with Gardevoir for me that I first didn't have this initial impression in this format, but definitely after Merida played more in the format, I think the Dragapult matchup is like really close to 50-50, if not Dragapult favored. Like I think it's like a really, really close matchup, Gardevoir versus Dragapult. And that doesn't bode well for Gardevoir when uh another 10% of the meta is pretty tough in like a Miraidon deck, right? So yeah. Uh Gardevoir seems it doesn't seem great right now, honestly. Gardevoir seems like it's kind of a tough spot, especially if Dragapult is actually favored against it. Um,
Speaking of Maridon,
Past one, but yeah, did not have a great showing either. One in top 32. And I'm not too shocked, I guess, to see that. I mean, I definitely expected more from the deck. I was hoping for myself to do better as well with the deck, I guess. Um, but there was a lot of hate for it. There was a lot of all the Guardies had Clef Keys. It seemed like they all at least had Mawile. Some had Clef Keys. And then you had stuff like even Clef Keys popping up in Dragapult as well.
true.
And also Archaladon. That's also a tough matchup, and that became a way more popular going to this tournament. I didn't expect that to rise that much in popularity. So yeah, honestly, it did have a pretty. Marana also had a pretty disappointing tournament as well. I'd say on par with Gardevoir. I guess you could say it's less popular than Gardevoir, but even then, there's only one in top 32, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let's take a look at the rest of the top cut decks. Let's talk about this Golden Go deck. So, I mean, this is interesting because, Golden Go, I think, had been pretty well written off by most people, us included, I feel like.
Yeah,
But then, like, one of the best testing groups and biggest testing groups in the world decided to show up and play it to the tournament, and they all had pretty decent success. Basically everyone in the group got top 64 or better. So that's a lot of caches, 6 caches for the deck at the tournament. And then a few more in day 2 as well that were on the same 60. And it's just Golden Go. That's the other
yeah,
interesting thing here. Like there's nothing else going on. There's no Palkia. You do have Monkey Dory with the darkness energies, and you do have Radiant Greninja, which you can technically power up.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, the I actually the apparently the point of playing the double water is like so you could build up Greninja potentially against Gardevoir. It is possible because Gardevoir is like such a different deck now, and like is a little bit more scrappy. Where you're going, Gardevoir doesn't play a ton of tools to like take big one hits, right?
sure.
So your Golden Goes are going to live multiple turns sometimes. So you could build up Greninja in that matchup, but I think the bigger reason that they played the two water is for the mirror match. So you can sit there and build up your Radiant Greninja while your opponent, if they go in with Golden Go first, you win the prize trade because you take the first
Dude,
two prize knockout.
what do you mean for the mirror match? Are they had the tech for each other for this tournament?
Well,
Like
other Golden Goes as well, like other Golden
what
Goes
other
for
golden
themselves.
goes?
There was actually quite a bit of Golden Go besides this group playing this list. Like I said, I played against two Golden Goes that weren't this group. The
Quite a
only
bit of
other
golden go.
um there's a decent amount of Golden Go. I don't know what other matchups, like those are the two matchups that and I saw it. I saw Luke. I sat next to Lucas in maybe this is the last round of the tournament. And I almost saw it play out, but Lucas's opponent was playing Palkia. So if you play Palkia, you just win the mirror because you can always initiate and get the first two prize cards because you can just enable Greninja through Palkia. Unless you like draw into like Golden Go EX boss KO their Palkia V off the bench before they can get it to a V star and use Greninja, but it's pretty unlikely. So it's going to be a tough time. But yeah, I know that's one of the reasons they played it. The Gardevoir thing is like possible. How likely is it to happen before Gardevoir just KOs your Greninja? The thing is, if Gardevoir goes out of the way to KO your Greninja, they put themselves on odd prize cards, right? Which you're not complaining about. So, um, yeah, you got those options. Those are like possibilities. But yeah, like you said, besides that, it is kind of just Golden Go. But like instead of Irida, it's got the Arvins, right? Arvins, one TM Evo to get to your Golden Goes. And then besides that, still like the Cypher Maniacs, Pokestops. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. Has a Monkey Dory, but it seems like everyone was kind of on the Monkey Dory if they were playing Golden Go.
Bro,
Honestly, Monkey Dory's in like everything.
they gotta play the TM Turbo Energize. That's how they can power up
Dude,
the Radiant Greninja.
apparently that's a card they were testing. I talked to some of them at the tournament. Turbo Energize was on the menu. They didn't end up running it though. Um, Pretty good card in the mirror or up against something like a Gardevoir as well.
There was a one Archaladon in Top Cut, and yeah, pretty normal build here, I would say overall. I guess the thing to note is like the stadiums here. There's no Pokestop, and they're not heavy on the jamming towers.
Yeah.
It's a split of the jamming tower and the artisan here.
Artisan's super nice to find. Honestly, it's hard finding basics in this deck sometimes. So Artisan is kind of nice. Finds Duraludon. Even finding stuff like Iron Bundle and Relicanth is kind of cool as well. So it has like a little bit more late game power for those two. Because once you establish your Duraludons, they're either all in play or all in your discard pile. So Nitriture is the only out. So it does have some late game functionality as well to get either of those. cards, and yeah, only one jamming, so not super teched out for the Gardevoir matchup. But you also have Dialga in there as well. It's not like it's just like a straight Archaludon EX build, so you still have like some ways back into that matchup as well. But yeah, nothing too crazy. But yeah, not the turbo build with the stops.
We talked about Vinny's deck. There were a pair of Snorlax in top cuts.
This was actually definitely a surprise to me. Like I rated what Snorlax as like a D tier deck going to the tournament. I didn't think it was that good of a play. I'm still not sold on it being like a ridiculously good play. Stall's always kind of fine for the most part. Um, you always have the out of matchup roulette, which I feel like this deck has more than other decks in most formats. But yeah, there was a couple of them here, and they were there were definitely one was way more tech than the other one for sure. And this is Roan's build, and this deck has got the Diancie, it's got a 1/1 melodic, you got the Mawile in here, whereas the other
Enriching
builds
energy.
yeah, gotta have the enriching energy, can't forget the enriching energy, and I believe the build from Daniel was literally just 2 Mimikyu, 2 Rotom, 4 Snorlax,
Nope.
oh, no, that was a different build, I guess. It was just 1 Rotom, 1 Ogerpon, 4 Snorlax, and it still had the box orders. Okay, I looked at a different list earlier then. That was like a 2-2-2. But this is pretty standard from what we've come to expect, I think, from boxed orders. Also played 3 Temple of Sinnoh, so was playing to beat the Lugia matchup.
Yeah, dude, Snorlax players just cannot give up on the Lugia matchup. They're like, I've got to like they just feel like they've got a chance, you know.
Something changed where it's, like, become better? I mean,
I mean, you can
not
just
really,
spam
right?
some flutes. Maybe you get a couple of lums in play. You stick the legacy somewhere, right? Like,
He's playing the secret box as well, so you can more aggressively find the Temple of Sinnoh. That's, like,
you
what
know,
me and my group did at Worlds is we played secret box with Sinnohs. Still a bad matchup, I think, though. So, in testing, it was still unfavorable, but, yeah, I mean, you can make it work technically, right? I mean, you can
yeah,
win technically, it's just, like, still a bad matchup.
yeah. Daniel definitely. Is he a front? He's one of the two front runners for sure for like rookie of the year. I would say it's either him or it's Giovanni Sasso, right? It's like
Yeah.
Daniel's got doesn't have a
Daniel's
dub, but Giovanni has a dub. But Daniel has two top cuts at internationals. Giovanni has
I think
zero, right?
I
So
honestly think we maybe give Daniel the edge. Double international top cut so far. Like even though there's not a dub, that's still pretty big.
yeah.
We'll see. I'm sure they'll both be at NAIC. So we'll see how they do there. There's still a lot of season left to play as well. Yeah, click on the stall build right there from Leon. Is that the one? The one with
Yeah, yeah.
let's go 2-2-2-2-2 or 4-2-2-2 and then the one Pidgeot. Yeah, this was the one that I looked at. Um
Has the
yep.
heroes cape in here for the A spec.
Ooh, it's got the mists as well. Yeah, I got the hero's cape. Yeah, I don't know. Stall is I don't know. The biggest thing I guess it comes down to Stall is really the Dragon Ball matchup, right? That's like the biggest question mark for me. But like my impression of that matchup is that it is pretty close, and Dragon Ball definitely edges you out in top cut, just based on the top cut rules.
And as we go down through the rest of top 32, there's some things I would say in here that most people weren't really expecting. One of them being Grant Manley's Lost Box deck. And this is pretty different from what we saw from Lost Box from the like Hedrick build from the was it Puerto Rico special event or it was Merida, right?
Merida, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
that one had like Pokestops, heavy vacuums and stuff. This one is a like slower build. It feels like he's got jet energies in here.
Artisans.
Artisans is the big thing, right? Has the Reggie Gigas. And Grant was kind of getting clowned on Twitter for this deck. I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw.
Yeah, before the tournament, Grant told me he thought Lost Box is favored against Dragapult. Now, I don't think that's true. I think Dragapult is favored against Lost Box, but I told him, I was like, now I'm not like overly tested in the match or anything, but I told him if you think it's favored, you play Lost Box because Lost Box is favored against like pretty much everything else in the format, besides maybe a Gardevoir that plays Manaphy, but no Gardevoir is playing Manaphy right now for the most part. So besides that, like there's no reason not to play Lost Box. You play Lost Box if you think it's actually favored against Dragapult. Um, I didn't know what his build looked like though, and this is definitely different than what I thought he would have been playing. I thought he would have been playing something a little bit more standard. But yeah, it is in his words a little bit more anti Badoo of a build, right? You have artisans to help you find basics. Jet energy gives you more pivots to work with, and then besides that, you have like the normal range of attackers: Pikachu, Iron Hands, Ursaluna, Sableye, Cram, Greninja, and then the new attacker, the Regigigas, in there as well as another option up against those big Terra Pokemon, the Charizards and the Dragapults. Um, and Grant actually did tie the win in against Oscar
Yeah.
Madsen with the Dragapult Charizard deck. They ended up tying the win, so that's kind of unfortunate. We could have seen a 9-player cut there. Would have had one asymmetrical play-in round, but
And there was also
yeah,
a chance that all these like X1-2s made it in
yeah,
if the stream match, which was Simone and Sebastian, if they had tied, which they almost did. There was like a small chance,
not
but
really. Sebastian was pretty
Sebastian kind of
cooked.
got cooked. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I wonder what game one looked like. Game two was like not close. Well, I tuned in like towards the end of it. Like game two was like not close at all. And generally, that matchup feels favored for Gardevoir. But it did not seem like Sebastian drew very well in the early game
Yeah.
at all. It did have a technical line. I think Sebastian was looking for like boss off of the final refinement there and didn't even hit it. So didn't even have an out to like force Simone to have the response. So we didn't really get to see that come to fruition. And then we
I
could have
think,
seen a tie.
yeah, I think Grant said that he, in the last round, he tied Oscar by flower selecting into Regigigas plus Prime Catcher.
Yeah.
And that was what did him in.
Although I'm not knowing Grant, I'm not sure if that actually was for sure how if that's the only reason it would have been a tie, or would have maybe been a tie
Well, I
anyways.
mean, that was in game one, so I mean, it,
Oh gosh.
that was in game one,
Sure.
and then he won. Grant did win game two, so
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just wins game one and then gets 2-0'd from there, though. Who knows at that point?
yeah, yeah, it's all different. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting cards here. There's a Crispin.
Which I'm pretty sure he said is bad.
Yeah, yeah. He even said here, would you make any changes? He said to cut useless Roxanne and maybe Dogwater Crispin for Poffin. Man, he just like really sticks to his brand. And the thing is
Yeah.
like it's him. It's real. It's not like a bit. Hitting Pidgeot control was kind of unlucky. Weird. I didn't face any of the top three most popular decks.
Yeah, he didn't hit any pulse, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
be curious how he still feels about that matchup, but
Yeah. Played no Polts, no
Gardevoir.
Gardevoirs, and no Archaludons.
Yeah. That is actually an interesting outcome there for sure. A lot of golden goes, some lugs.
And then as we keep going down here, I mean, there's a few more cloth in
Yeah.
top 32.
Honestly, pretty good showing. We talked about like kind of the poor performances from Gardevoir and Miraidon, but Cloth had a pretty good showing overall, I would say for sure.
Then there was a couple of Reggie Drago in top 32 as well.
I'm not sure. Double canceling cologne, two of them. Wait, what are we shutting
Whoa.
off? Is there like something extra we are going after
Nope.
here?
Snorlax, buddy.
We were already fine against all. There's got to be something else we're looking at here. Two cologne.
Yeah, that's a little
What is it?
that's a little interesting. I don't know.
There's got to be something we're missing here. Maybe they had the read on stall. Maybe they did have the read on stall. Is that possible?
Cornerstone Mask also stall.
There's something in Dragapult that you want it
No,
for?
no, I don't think so.
Oh,
This list
they
they
stole
took
his
yeah,
cologne.
they took the cologne out
Oh.
of this guy's deck. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it
during
is.
deck check, they got switched around, and so one of them ended up with 2 cologne.
Uh, this
Uh,
guy's got Badoo and Cleffa in his deck.
I have the options. Honestly, I don't hate that. It definitely
Yeah.
seems, like, reasonable that there's a decent amount of matches where you'd want one over the other. It does kinda suck
Oh,
to play 2 things like that.
hold up.
So, yeah, I was gonna say the Rain Alakazam in here, a little damage fixing.
It's pretty interesting.
Only canceling clone if we got that.
No Gudra or anything like that. It's just which I guess like
Yeah.
it loses value whenever the mirror isn't a thing to worry about, right?
Yeah, I do really kind of wonder how good, because I played 0 games of Dragapult this format, but do obviously sounds pretty annoying, but, like, I wonder how good Dragapult actually is right now, or
You mean
Regidrago, excuse me.
Reggie Drago? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Regidrago. I wonder how good Regidrago actually is right now.
And then yeah, there's a couple Charizards, a couple Miraidons. One of these Charizard lists I looked at earlier. Who was it? Someone had a kind of everyone's kind of got their own ways to like be ready for Badoo, right? There's
This list
Jack.
specifically looks like anti-Badoo. They just go second and then item lock you, and you're playing Trolley. You just lose. You can't find basic Pokemon.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's got the stage 1 Pokemon in here, like the
no TM
Pidgeotto, the
Evo.
2 Charmeleon, but yeah, no TM Evo.
They're literally letting Badoo have their way with them until they set up, and then they get access to items again. But it seems like
Whose
it's gonna be a little
list
bit
was
too
it?
later.
Arnie has the double turbo. I feel like I saw one list that had
Yeah,
darkness
Arnie
energy
had
in
the
it.
great. Arnie also had the great. I think I saw that too. Actually, now that you mention it, yeah, Arnie had the grand tree, double 4 seal stone. Got to find that tree. So Arnie was packing the cards for the Badoo match. Only one Charmeleon though.
Yeah, one Charmeleon. Was it this list maybe? No. Let me go here
Monkey Dory
to
Dark Energy. Does everyone just play Monkey Dory Dark Energy and everything now?
yeah, someone had it was Pertusi and Azevedo's build. That's
Mm.
why, yeah. So this is interesting. I mean, this is one of the things with these big ICs that's always interesting to look at because I think a lot of people wouldn't take time to scroll down on Limitless and look at the, top 128, top
Yeah.
256 decks. But William and Pedro are two of the best players in the world. So it's always interesting to see what these players bring to the tournament, even if they don't end up having super good runs. What did they deem to be like a good play, quote unquote, right? And yeah, they've got the max belt Zard, 2 TM Evo, and the Monkey Dory with the basic darkness energy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of William and Pedro, but at some point you got to put the Charizard down, bro. Yeah, huge fan. Honestly, if they want to keep doing it, go for it. But yeah, obviously I'm a big fan of those two players. I'm just kind of having fun. And they had two Team Evo in here as well, two Team Evo and the maximum belt. But yeah, at a certain point, you just got to put the Charizard down. At a certain point, the Charizard's cooked. I think it's now.
We're definitely getting there. We're getting there for sure. Also, like,
Also,
what's
we're
up
about to have
with
a reset with rotation, so he's maybe back. Charizard's back.
so they were playing, they couldn't agree on what like the optimal hoot hoot was at LAIC, right? They all had different hoot hoots.
Yeah.
But this time they all agreed on the bad Pidgeotto. Why are we not playing the Pidgeotto that has free retreat on the card?
Has 10 less HP, right?
I don't even think so. I think it still has
I think it's
90.
80. No, I think it is 80. Maybe the attack is that much worse too. Gotta investigate here real fast.
It does have 80. Okay.
Oh, we can attack for 1 energy. Get that
I
flat.
mean, the free
The Guardian
retreat does
the Guardian
80
matchup.
HP. Okay. Against Dragapult, they can move 20 with Alakazam plus KO
Oh,
it. That might be it.
that's
Is that
true.
enough? Is that
That
enough?
seems that seems fair. That seems fair.
Yeah.
You can
To
still like
have it on.
Charizard 1 energy to the active, 2 to the Charizard to move it out of the active as well, even though it's got that 1 retreat cost.
Yeah.
I don't know how likely that is to come up. They have to have already established damage. Oh, I guess if they Badoo twice and they move off the 2 Badoo damage, that literally is maybe the reason though. They got to Badoo 3 times if they want to try and lock you up.
Yeah. Maybe that comes up more often than the free retreat bonus of the other one does. But
Yeah, I can see it.
yeah, so those are the results from EUIC. I mean, I guess like let's just end it here with like kind of we have to recap our predictions. I
Oh
forgot about
yeah,
that.
can't forget about that chip. Come on.
Got to recap the
Um,
predictions, but kind of moving on from here. We've got Vancouver in a couple weeks. People who are starting to test now for Vancouver. Where do you think they should start?
yeah, Vancouver and Fortaleza. Have you pronounced that? 2 weeks from now, and then 2 weeks after that, Stockholm, Brisbane's the week after that. So we still have a decent amount of tournaments. We still have 4 majors in this format coming up. I don't know, Dragapult, best second format, I think for sure. I don't even think it's like a discussion. Bunch of different ways to play it. Got some new innovative stuff to look at. From there, I mean, to me, it seems like Gardevoir is not worth playing right now. The Miraidon matchup is tough. And I think if people do, I think the correct way to play Miraidon moving forward is Prime Catcher because I think that build is way better against Dragapult. Um, so I think if you want to be competitive with Miraidon moving forward, you need to play Prime Catcher. Um, so you can look at like the build that I played at UIC or Lewis Roach's build, who also was rocking the Prime. It was funny. I sat next to him on at round 8, and he's sitting at table 1. And he flashed me the Prime Catcher in his deck when I sat down next to him.
It was like game
So,
recognizes game type
yeah,
moment, you know?
yeah. Also, the thicker magnets online. Lewis played a 1-2. I played a 2-2. I could see you getting away with a 1-2 if you need more space for stuff, but you definitely want to be playing at least 2 Magneton. I think for sure. You at least want to be playing a 1-2 Magneton line. The card is just broken. Like it felt like playing the 2-2 at EUIC honestly felt kind of insane. Like I had access to it like every single game, turn 2, basically whenever I wanted. So that was like kind of insane to have it. The card's just so powerful. So yeah, I think if Murata wants to compete, you got to be playing Prime. From there, I don't know. Stall might become a slightly more popular deck moving forward. Golden Go might be a thing now because I feel like Golden Go before UIC really wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
If Grant's right and Lost Box, or at least his build of Lost Box is favored against Dragapult, Lost Box could be back on the map. I think Cloth Terrapagos is definitely going to become more popular moving forward for sure. Because it won. Yeah, I think I probably underrated the Dragapult matchup a little bit. Also, I expect Gardevoir to kind of. I think Gardevoir was the harder of the two matchups for the Cloth Terrapagos deck. And I think Gardevoir specifically should fall off. So that'll even be better for Cloth Terrapagos moving forward. Um, I don't know. There's a lot. That's a lot moving around. I think Lugia's kind of toast. Unless the Dragapults cut their Sinnoh, then I think Lugia's back because I think Miraidon will probably fall off a little bit because like Cloth Serapagos got more popular. So I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces right now in the format in the meta, to be honest. I like keep talking, but there's like so much more to talk about. So I think I'll just cut it there and just be like a lot of
Yeah.
moving pieces. Dragapult is definitely the best deck though. If you're looking to just like if you're looking to not think very hard, but you want to play a good deck, just play Dragapult. You don't have to think about anything. Just play a good Dragapult deck. Good to go.
Yeah, and we'll definitely, we'll talk plenty about it next week
Yeah.
ahead of Vancouver on our episode. Yeah, are you going to be hosting any money matches coming up soon here?
No, I
I
don't
saw
think so.
this
There's no
discussion going
yeah.
down on Twitter between Grant and Aiden and Henry Chow.
No plans as of right now. No plans of right now. But I'm always available if there's any players out there who are trying to throw down, and I don't mind adding to the pool myself as well. Whenever I host one of these money matches, I always add to the pool myself. So if you're mutual, if you know me like that, and you want to reach out to ever set something up and have me host it, let me know.
Well, let's recap these predictions real quick, and we'll get into our bonus episode. First up, what region will the champion be from? Azul said North America. I gave it to EU, and you were technically closer, right? I guess we're kind of tied, right? Xander and Simone in top four, both of them, right? Xander from the US, Simone from EU, from Italy. But Xander did get third, Simone fourth. So I guess you technically win, right?
Well, I got better than you for sure. I was gonna say Australia as well because I always have so much faith in that group. And once again, they had two players here in top eight at the international tournaments. I feel like they really show up. I actually want to give like Natalie some props specifically because she got top eight at NAIC, and she doesn't travel as much as it seems like the rest of the squad does. It seems like she just plays in the ICs and then the tournaments over in Australia. So I mean, she got top eight at NAIC, and what was there, three of them in top eight at NAIC or something, or there
Yeah.
was two, and Brent was ninth or whatever. Like, yeah, the international results. I mean, I think they didn't do as well at Worlds overall, right? So I'm misremembering, but like, yeah, they keep performing consistently at the international tournaments. I want to say at Worlds they didn't have a great performance.
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah. No standouts
James
at.
Goring's still holding it down though for Australia.
Kywin lost a win in it at Worlds, I think, right? Is what it was.
Yeah, yeah,
He
I
was
think
up
that.
there. James Cox was up there towards the end of the day too. But yeah, solid perform. I mean, definitely like probably just the best testing group in the world right now.
That's
Um,
hard to take it away from them.
this one we were pretty rough on this prediction here. How many
Oh,
Maridon in cut? We both said 2. Yeah,
0.
more it would have been more like how many Maridon in top 32? I honestly I should have put it lower because I said it wasn't that good of a play. I didn't think it was that good
Yeah,
of a play for this tournament, and
and
I
I
think
may
that
be
ended up being
over.
true. That was probably the on my tier list and meta predictions. That's probably about the one thing I got solidly right was that Maridon was like fine. It wasn't a
Yeah,
great play.
I probably overrated it a little bit. It was maybe like part of it was like I was considering just playing it at the tournament myself. And I knew I was confident in like if I was going to be playing, I was going to be playing that build that I thought was like better against Guardy, better against Dragapult, but like almost no one else was going to be playing that build, obviously. So, um, yeah, I probably overrated its expected performance a little bit with our on the tier list we did last week.
And then the last one, highest placing low tier deck. You gave it to Raging Bolt, your good friend, and I gave it to Reggie Drago. And as we know,
Ooh,
there were a couple of Reggie Drago in top 32. I don't know
where's the?
where the closest Raging Bolt is. Oh, 72nd.
There we
Antonio
go, holding it down.
with the Crispin.
Gotta have the Crispin. I mean, you need something, man. Fixing a bad
And
spot.
no bravery charms, two ancient booster
Alright, I don't know about
capsules.
that. Is that 10 more HP? Does that matter? Oh, for the Cloth Terrapagos matchup, can't be poisoned, can't get one hit KO'd.
Oh,
They
easy
knew, bro.
dubs.
They knew. They were like, "Alright, if I can just dodge, I don't know, guard form Dragapult. I know I'm gonna hit Ryuki in the finals, and he's gonna have Cloth Terrapagos. Boom, ancient booster capsule."
All right, Azul, you got anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here and get into our bonus episode?
No, yeah, there's, I said one more thing I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, appreciate all the everyone who came up, asked for a picture or for me to sign something or whatever at EUIC. Always appreciate the support and the interactions. So if you see me at Vancouver, same thing is always open. If you want to come up and say what's up, take a picture, have me sign something, feel free to. Um, yeah, with that, Chip, send us out.
Yeah, thanks a bunch as always for listening. And if you did enjoy, be sure to leave us a comment, drop a review, and subscribe here on the YouTube channel or follow on Spotify wherever you are listening. And if you want to keep up to date with us and what's happening, you can follow us over on Twitter. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. And you can also follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
I appreciate the support as always. Catch y'all next week, 7 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday.